Pokemon seems really simple, right? You get your starter, you beat Team Rocket, and you become a Pokemon Master. But the series is a lot deeper than that. There's a ton of things going on in the background that you may not have noticed, but some fans have. There's a lot of darker things going on in the Pokemon world behind the scenes. Are people eating Pokemon? What happened to everybody's parents? There are just some weird questions that need to be answered, and if you look behind the scenes, you'll see some really weird stuff. Starting with... So have you ever noticed in Pokemon games that the way it starts is your trainer is usually with your single mom, and then you go off into the world to be a Pokemon Master, meeting up a bunch of kids along the way. Did you notice that there's not a lot of men there, like grown men?
There are only two that are around with any regularity, and that's Lieutenant Surge and Giovanni. And Lieutenant Surge has obviously been in a war, and Giovanni's a criminal, and draft dodging would probably be the least of his crimes.
It was Lieutenant Surge. He actually tells you that there was this big war, so this one kind of makes sense. And he says the electric Pokemon actually saved him during, like, probably in some firefight or some crap where they paralyzed a bunch of enemies.
For all we know, Lieutenant Surge could just be a crazy Vietnam veteran whose grip on reality is loose, shall we say.
And if you notice, like, the ones that are left are a lot of, like, professional guys. Like, say, Professor Oak, for example. Like, he is a grown-up dude, but maybe he had special dispensation that kept him out of the army just based on his job.
Yeah, it's really weird. You don't see many adults, right? Like, you come across some occasionally, but they're usually geriatric old people or the nurses in the Pokemon centers.
What about deserters? What about conscientious objectors? What about pacifists? What about people with disabilities? Why weren't all the Nurse Joys on the front line saving lives?
You and the Pokemon make a great team. They're your buddies, right? Well, what do you do when it's time to eat? Like, you can't always eat rice balls and donuts and whatever else. Like, you kind of have to eat animals in that world too, but it seems like every animal is a Pokemon. You never meet animals that are just animals, like it is a Pokemon.
Every animal is a Pokemon, so if someone's going to eat, they are going to have eaten a Pokemon at some point in their life. Even if they're a vegetarian, there's the mushroom Pokemon and there's Cherubi, the cherry Pokemon.
In the games, they even have references to eating Pokemon, such as Slowpokes getting their tails cut off and served as a delicacy in some restaurants. So clearly people do eat Pokemon.
The disturbing thing about it is that, like, Pokemon trainers, they should be ashamed of themselves because those are like their friends. They're like hanging out with them all the time.
How do we know it's meat? What if all of this meat is just tofu or a synthetic replica of meat? There's no guarantee that they're actually eating Pokemon.
You have like fucking 700 types of meat you could have at any time. It's like, don't tell me you aren't gonna branch out and try some new shit.
Here it's pretty hard to prove that ghosts are real, though I have my theories, but in the Pokemon world, there are literally dozens of ghosts. There's an entire ghost type of Pokemon, and number one, it's not very clear, like, are they the ghosts of dead Pokemon? In some cases, yes, but others, like Yamask, they are explicitly stated in the Pokedex as a dead person who is staring at the mask of their former self and crying.
These are like reincarnated human souls that can't ever move on, and they become these warped, twisted creatures that feed on dreams and your actual soul and all these terrible things.
Yamask's description definitely says that he used to be a human, and he'll stare at his little mask just in horror at what he has become and what he used to be.
You know, once you're this ghost Pokemon, you could get captured by some snot-nosed kid and forced to battle other Pokemon. It's a pretty messed up situation.
Imagine just waking up one morning and your Gengar is just like staring at you, like right next to your bed. Like, that's fucked up. You don't go back to sleep after something like that.
I actually think this would be amazing because that would be confirmation that yes, in fact, there is an afterlife instead of just the abyss of nothingness and unbeing.
Pokemon seems like such a nice place to be. Like, you can go from town to town as a little kid and get free socialized medicine at the Pokemon Center. And yet, the world is also filled with all these different, like, for lack of a better term, gangs. Like, they are committing crimes, they are stealing things, they're trying to take over the world, and they're just around and, like, battling kids. Why are people cool with that?
Where are the police? I know there's like Officer Jenny running around and stuff, but you know, there's no police around to stop these criminals from harassing a bunch of kids that are just going around the countryside trying to pick up badges like Cub Scouts.
My theory here is that the kids being sent off on their Poke adventures aren't really just going off for the experience of a lifetime so much as they are secretly being used as the world's law enforcement.
Jesse and James never get arrested for burglary or accosting children for the last 10 years the show's been on. And no one seems to care that Giovanni, who is pretty much a known mob boss, is running Viridian City. He has a position of authority, and you can't look at that man and think that he's legit.
So the gear you need to be a Pokemon trainer is pretty dense. Like, you need Pokeballs to start with, a Pokedex, food for your Pokemon, healing items, all this stuff. So it's a good thing you can just go to any giant store and buy it all up, right? Well, isn't that weird that, like, there's only one store? Like, there's not competing ones. They're all run by the Sylph Company, that they have, like, literally the monopoly over Pokemon items.
So Sylphco is a perfect example of what in business they call vertical integration, which means that they own the entire supply chain for what they make. So Sylphco makes the Pokeballs, they own the stores that sell the Pokeballs, and they own the health centers where they help out Pokemon who are kept in Pokeballs.
What's really surprising to me is that nobody has an issue with the fact that one single company manufactures all the Pokemon balls and is also behind all the Poke Centers and is also behind all the Poke-related products that you can purchase for fun and amusement. So what happens when they decide to jack up the prices? You got no choice.
I get that the Pokemon Company wants the legendaries to feel very special when you capture them, but the descriptions of them are getting so big that it's just crazy that what you are catching. Like, characters like Dialga, Arceus, like, they are literally gods. Like, the myth is that they created the universe, and then they are being captured by, like, a small boy, and there's just this god in a Pokeball somewhere.
Why would it even put itself in such a position if it's got so much power to be owned by a lesser creature than itself? And also, what happens when you piss the thing off?
Do you realize this could lead to, like, the total destruction of the universe? No one knows what's going on. Who's supervising these kids? They're going to literally end reality as we know it. Where are their parents? Oh, right, the war thing from before.
It seems to me like these all-powerful abilities were actually just a one-time thing. I mean, if Dialga did have full control over time, then reality as we know it in the Pokemon universe could be undone at any time.
I can see how it would be easy to be paranoid in the Pokemon universe, because what can be a Pokemon out of the 700 plus that exist already seems to be kind of anything. Like, it's easy to start with, like, oh, that's a bug Pokemon, that's a bird Pokemon, that's a rat, but then you have things that are just like, that's a snow cone Pokemon, that's a pine cone Pokemon. Pretty much anything can be a Pokemon. It's enough to make you, like, wonder, like, are you a Pokemon? Are all humans Pokemon who just haven't been categorized yet?
Those clothes that you're wearing, sewn out of cottonees. You are wearing the flesh of a Pokemon. Are you happy with that?
I mean, you slap some googly eyes on this chair I'm sitting on, it's a Pokemon. My fucking car keys are Pokemon. There is just no limit as to what can become a Pokemon. You just sit down on a toilet to take a dump, guess what? You just shit in a Pokemon.
This is really great for lonely people because you never have to worry about being alone. You can just walk outside and find a companion in seconds.
So there you have it, GamesRadar asking the tough questions about the Pokemon universe. And if this has got you thinking about some deeper Pokemon theories of your own, you can share them in the comments down there. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and check out some of our other videos. We have a lot of really good ones, easily as good as this one. Until next time, see ya.